The Sports Renegades podcast on SportsTownChicago.com. Welcome back to the Sports Renegades here on SportsTownChicago.com. I'm Ryan Stuprich.
And I'm Ryan Risky.
We talked about the Blackhawks and how they're rolling. We talked about the Bulls, and they host the Warriors in about, 15 minutes or so. And now we're going to talk about the Bears as they are, their free agency's already happened, I guess you could say. But
well, that's more the players that are free agency hasn't started. It's just more of the players. Are going. Who's
free
going
agency?
To hit free
Starts
agency.
like the first week of it starts soon, right?
Yeah, it starts soon, probably within a week.
Next week or something. Yeah. So we'll see.
It appears Alshon Jeffrey is going to leave. The Bears did not franchise tag him. They did not re-sign him by the deadline. And now he said he wants to play for a contender.
Yeah, I mean, it seems expected. I wasn't expecting Alshon Jeffrey to necessarily be here. I thought maybe they'd use the franchise tag on him. But when you're kind of in a stage where you kind of know you're not really going to be that competitive, I think it's best to not waste the money on something like that. And I say let him test free agency. If someone wants to take a leap of faith on him, he'll probably get injured, once or twice during the season. He's very athletic and a good talent, but he's just injury riddled.
See, that's the thing. Like, you're pretty much rewarding him for having little to no production the past 2 years. And I don't think, had he stayed healthy or not gotten suspended and he actually played well, he only caught 2 touchdowns this year.
Right, and I mean, a lot of that had to do with Cutler not being the guy who was throwing to him a lot. But, I mean, when Alshon Jeffrey was at his best, Josh McCown was throwing to him. So, I mean, talk about that.
Right,
I mean,
even the year after, though, when it was Cutler, he still had a really good year.
Yeah, he still had a pretty good year. I'm just talking about his best year. I was actually probably at his best game.
Oh, the one against Minnesota, 249 yards.
Yeah, up in Minnesota. He had 2 50-plus yard touchdown bombs in Minnesota's. But, I don't really know what they're going to do with Alshon. I don't know where he'll end up necessarily. I don't know what teams are interested in him, but it seems as though he is not coming back to the Bears.
Yeah, I mean, I think they would have gotten something done. Remember, he guaranteed the Bears would win the Super Bowl this year.
That's right. He's said a lot of interesting things. He's not like Derrick Rose, but he's like a mini version as far as what he says, the dumb stuff that he says, and plus the injuries. He's
not even close to Rose level, though.
No. No, it's a small comparison.
See, I think, it'd be nice if they could re-sign it, except I think Ryan Pace might, depending how it plays out, he might have done the smart thing and seeing what let him test the market, see what other teams will give him, because there might not be many teams that want to throw, number one receiver money at him with his production the past 2 seasons.
Yeah. Now, if they would have franchise tagged him, he would have got, $14 million or something?
17 this year.
17
Which
million.
I don't think that would have been the worst thing to do because it's only 1 year, and then potentially you could just trade him.
Yeah. I guarantee you he's not going to get – I don't think he's going to get what he thinks he's going to get. That's for sure.
See, now, if he was hitting the market 2 years ago, he would have absolutely gotten it, before he started missing games with these soft tissue injuries.
Yeah, I think he probably would have. But, yeah, is he going to get more than $17 million? No. Is he going to get less? I think he's going to get a lot less than $17 million.
Yeah, per year. Oh, yeah. I mean, unless it's from the Eagles, who's reportedly ready to throw a ton of money at him to get Carson Wentz a number one receiver.
Yeah, hey, whatever they want to do. I don't think the Eagles are ever going to be good, too.
That begs the question for the number 3 pick. If you're not taking a quarterback, and now this news about Jonathan Allen having arthritis in his shoulders.
Right.
That begs the question, do the Bears maybe try to trade down a few picks and select Clemson wide receiver Mike Williams, who has a similar skill set to Alshon Jeffrey?
That's true. He's very comparable, especially in that national championship game. He was outstanding.
I mean, do you do that, or do you just kind of go with, well, we took a wide receiver number 7 2 drafts ago, and so we don't want to do that now? I think now that, especially with this news about Jonathan Allen, I think that's something that you definitely need to take into consideration.
Yeah, I would say. If they end up, not trading up or down or whatever, and they end up with the third pick. You have to either take the best defender, so I think like Jonathan Allen, I think that would be a good choice, or maybe you take a leap with Deshaun Watson. That's my opinion. I kind of like Deshaun Watson. I'm not saying he'll be great. I don't really know what to expect, but he did just win a national championship, and he seems like a pretty good game manager. Not saying he can throw the ball very deep like Cutler, but again, I don't think you need somebody who can throw the ball 50 yards on any given play. I think you're, especially when you're not really trying to be competitive, I think trying to build a team around a guy like Deshaun Watson, I think that would be smart.
See, that's the problem that I have, though. Like what you just said, he's an unknown. Unless you're 100% sure you're going to get a franchise quarterback with that number 3 pick, you don't take a quarterback.
I'm 100% sure he's the best quarterback available.
He could be, and he could be available in the second round too. Although you don't know, because now there's rumors the Browns are strongly considering taking Mitch Trubisky with the first overall pick.
Yeah.
And then there's the report the 49ers might take a quarterback.
Well,
the Bears, then if that were to be the case, if both teams were to take a quarterback, the Bears could take Myles Garrett from Texas A&M.
Maybe. Yeah, it's possible. I think I'd stay away from Texas A&M. I mean, look at what happened with the last quarterback. Texas A&M.
See, that's a quarterback, though.
Johnny Manziel. Yeah.
This is one of the top defensive players in college football last year in Myles Garrett.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying, I mean, that would be smart, too. I just don't want him to do something stupid, which I feel like is going to happen.
I feel like if they did something stupid, it would be taking a quarterback. Unless they're 100% certain this guy can be the franchise quarterback that the franchise has never had.
True, that they've never, except maybe Jim McMahon. But they...
Well, no, definitely not McMahon. The only one you could probably make an argument for is Sid Luckman.
Yeah, Sid Luckman. That's not even like a good era to even talk about. I mean, it was so long ago. It's crazy how many bad quarterbacks the Bears have had. I mean, it just floors me. I mean, no other team has gone through crap like that except maybe the Cleveland Browns.
It's hard to get worse than the Browns.
It's
in
very
general
hard.
In professional sports, and there's also a report that Tampa Bay offered Mike Glennon $8 million per year to try to say he's a free agent.
Yeah,
and he's a guy that's 6'7". He had a really good year a couple years ago before they took Winston. He's a free agent. He's another guy the Bears could potentially look at if they think that he might have the tools to be a starting quarterback. Except the only thing with him is you don't want to run into the same problem the Houston Texans are in with Brock Osweiler.
Yeah, you don't want to throw a bunch of money at somebody just because he had 5 good games, like they did with Brock Osweiler, just because he had 5 pretty good games.
Glennon has much more NFL experience than Brock Osweiler. Like, he has a full season of starting under his belt, and he did really well. He threw 30 touchdowns.
Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised, for sure.
Obviously, I think free agency, though, their top target's going to be the secondary. The cornerback and safety, because I see so many people calling for them to take a cornerback or safety with the number 3 pick. No one takes a cornerback or safety with the number 3 pick, and you want to know why? That's because a cornerback or safety is not the best available player.
Right. The best available player usually is either
could you imagine that? Let's say
they
take a safety with the number 3 pick, and he turns out to be a bust. That'd be one of the worst draft picks they've ever had.
Yeah, I know. There's a lot riding on this. I mean, you really have to put together, 3, 4, 5 years of solid drafts.
This is kind of the situation the Cubs were in when they had the number 2 pick in the 2013 draft. And everyone's saying they need to take a pitcher because they had no pitching in the organization.
They need to take Mark Appel, and they didn't.
Or Jonathan Gray.
Yeah, and
fortunately they didn't. See, that's the thing. Like, this is one of the most important, and for the Cubs, that was the most important pick in franchise history, especially now when he led them to a World Series.
Yeah, it's sort of set everything up.
And this pick for the Bears could be just as important.
Yeah, when you're looking 3-4 years down the road, for sure, it's very important because that's what we're going to be looking at. We're going to be looking at how did this team get together? What were the draft picks? Whether the team is good or not, you're going to be looking back at those picks and you're going to be saying, "Ooh, this was a mistake," or "Wow, that really sets some stuff up good for success." So it depends what they do. I also heard there was some sort of report that Nick Foles. Maybe not necessarily to the Bears, but Nick Foles is looking for a new home, and the Bears were one of the options.
I could see that because I don't think Kansas City wanted to pay him like $6 million to stay.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. I mean, Nick Foles, he's nothing special to me, but
yeah. And in Mike Glennon's career, I think Nick Foles, if he was going to be that kind of player, franchise quarterback, he would have been it by now. With Mike Glennon, the Bears identify him. He's 6'7", strong arm, and he makes good decisions. For his career, he has 30 touchdowns and 15 interceptions, and he has a quick release. However, he could cost $10 to $12 million a year or even more.
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, when you're talking about just sort of what the Bears need to do, it's
there's just so many
issues that they need to fix.
Well, not only that, there's just so many ways they could go, and so many ways could blow up in their face.
Yep, but the fans are still going to come out there and support the team.
Or more of the tickets are going to be paid for with empty seats.
And then they're going to be I wonder, did they raise the prices this year on season?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah.
Of course.
Of course they raised ticket prices after the worst season since 1975. The Bears had the third highest ticket price in the NFL.
Yeah, we talked about that last week.
Bears.
The Cowboys have higher.
Team that sucks every year. That's been terrible. Forever has the third highest ticket price
seasons.
in the NFL.
It'll be 7 seasons now since they made the playoffs.
Yeah, and they just, it's just kind of like you kind of wonder if it's like the right stuff. Where there was an article posted from the Sun-Times that said that with the Reinsdorfs, winning wasn't the top priority. It was making the sponsors happy, and the sponsors would be happy if they got the 8th seed in the playoffs.
Oh yeah, there's no question about that.
So I feel like the McCaskies want, they want to win more than that. Except when you have Ted Phillips running things, it's so tough to believe that.
Right. We're going to take a break now. We're going to come back. We'll be transitioning into baseball. We'll get you caught up on spring training and some of the moves, and we'll also talk about John Lester getting the opening day nod for the second year in a row. You're listening to the Sports Renegade, actually the third year in a row. You're listening to the Sports Renegades.
Actually, it's second time in 3 years.
Okay, yeah, I'm getting my years mixed up. Either way, we'll talk about John Lester. The Sports Renegades podcast on SportsTownChicago.com.